So for my MD 305 journalistic movie and documentary review vlog, I watched the documentary Cover Up, which follows the sort of career and work of Seymour Hersh, who was a American journalist and reporter, still is, who won a Pulitzer Prize and gained a lot of national attention, both good and bad, for his documentation of certain U.S. government actions that were tried to have covered up, as the movie name suggests, in the Vietnam War. And what he did, which really stands out for his field in journalism, was his work that sort of uncovered the things that were meant to be covered up. And I keep repeating this phrase, cover up, obviously as the title of the documentary, but that's the part of it that stands out so much. What he did was sort of uncover the sort of actions that occurred in the Vietnam War that the U.S. government did not want people to know about, and that's what made these things so controversial. So examples of this include sort of uncovering the sort of wrongdoings that unconstitutionally by the U.S. government that were brought to public attention sort of as secret. So, for example, through the Vietnam War, secret bombings, massacres, war crimes that were going on the American side, and it was brought to light by American journalists, which was so damning and unprecedented, because we never saw anything like that really until Seymour Hersh sort of came out with this and did part of this work. What really stood out to me about this was the sort of attitude that he takes towards it nowadays. So this documentary was released late last year in 2025, and it's set up with it's with him, and Hersh is the one who's sort of being spoken to and giving his perspective on it, and then it also gives historical reference and context, and he keeps going back to these examples of the real time when he was doing this work. But one of the big lessons he sort of uncovers is the idea of trusting nobody. And there's a line in the movie where he speaks to the production team of the documentary. He's like, I don't even trust you guys. So it stands out to me a lot, the sort of reluctance that he has towards even coming out publicly and talking about something like this, because of how controversial yet important his work was. He was like, I can't trust anybody. I can't even trust you guys. And it's been really interesting to sort of see that perspective, because typically in the field of journalism, it's built on having good, trustworthy connections with people. He's kind of gone against that because of how unique and outstanding his work ended up being. So to sort of go on with that, I think a lot of what stood out to me in terms of lessons to be learned for student journalists to take away is have a sense of integrity when it comes to the work you're doing, even if it might be the challenging thing to do. That might still mean that it's the right thing to do. Stuff like that has become really important, and we've seen such historical influence come from this because of the work that Hersh did, that got him a lot of backlash and controversy, and even targets. He wasn't safe for a while because of the secrets he was uncovering. Now, this isn't to say that all student journalists are going to end up working in a scale this extreme. More likely than not, none of us will. However, even just on a smaller scale, it shows us that that it's so important just to have a good moral and ethics compass when it comes to things we report on, and that ultimately our goal and job is to serve the people. We are public servants, and the goal is to do that job no matter what. So if we can do that really effectively, then that's a success. So the first two lessons I found were to be careful who you trust and to always use integrity. And then the third thing to sort of go off of that, which kind of goes hand in hand with the other two, is just to not be afraid of really going after the things that really break the news. Obviously, do it with integrity. Report on things that are correct and factual, but do things that are really going to catch people's attention, because that is what deserves to be reported on. Do things that the people deserve to know, and that really pays off in our own work, and in the success of our jobs of serving the people. Excuse me. So just to wrap up, I really would give this movie a sort of, honestly, like pretty close to a 10 out of 10, just because of the raw and unique nature of it. Hersh was very reluctant to do this video, There's certain things he doesn't even want to say on camera. He's given these documents with all these names on there. He's like, I can't even say these people's names because of the people that would come after me because of it. So that's what really stood out to me, and it was very unique and captivating. You don't even really need to be a journalist to appreciate this, but looking at it from a journalistic perspective, just elevates the experience. It's super captivating just from the opening frames. I would highly recommend it, and yeah, I think that's what I learned from it. And yeah, I hope that gives a good recap in detail of what to expect from this movie and its review. Thank you.